Hi, I'm Steve Washer with BrainyVideo.com. And you know, just about every day, someone asks how we shoot widescreen, to get that kind of infinity look. And yeah, there are a lot of good reasons to learn how to do widescreen. It's a very clean and very bright canvas to work against. It gives you a good place to put text beside you so it doesn't look all junky. Oh, and speaking of junky, if you're not in a big studio and you're kind of in closer quarters, then it gets rid of all of that stuff that's behind you. So yeah, it's really modern and bright, and so for that and other reasons, it's really good to learn how to do widescreen. But it's a little difficult to explain how to do it in 20 seconds. So I thought maybe the best thing to do would be just to make a video about it. Because quite frankly, there's a couple of tricky things about widescreen that are tricky until you get your hands on them. So come back in 10 seconds and we'll show you how to go from this to this. So the first thing that we're going to need for our white screen shoot is a white screen or white photographer's paper. Now, if you're in the US, you can just go to Amazon.com and all kinds of stuff will come up for backdrops. If you're out of the US, just type in photo, video, backdrops, and you'll be able to find all kinds of good backdrops, and pretty inexpensive as well. In fact, a sheet like this, which is I think 20 feet long by 12 feet wide, I think was only about $40. And the great thing about buying it in a kit from Amazon is that you get these poles that it sits on, and then also this pole across the top that it's suspended from. Now, after you get it hung, it's important to have it with no wrinkles. I can't tell you how important that is. If you have any wrinkles in your backdrop and you light it, those wrinkles are going to be even more prominent. So what you'll find is when you're on the site where you're buying the widescreen, you'll see something like, well, people who bought this also bought, and it's going to be something like this, a nice clamp. And you use the clamp to get rid of the wrinkles at the ends of the widescreen, just like this. Very simple to use. But what about the middle of the widescreen? Well, for that, you can just go to the drugstore and get something like this little steamer dealie, and it just goes, up and down the widescreen until you get rid of all the wrinkles. Very important to get rid of all the wrinkles. So once the widescreen is hung, then the next thing that we have to do is look at our three important distances. That's what we have to set next. The distance from the widescreen to the lighting, the distance from the subject to the widescreen, and the distance from the subject to the camera. Let's take a closer look at that now. Okay, so the first important distance is the distance from the lighting instrument to the widescreen. So let me explain where we are. Right now, we're looking at our scene from the side. The camera is over here, I'm here, the widescreen is over here, and one lighting instrument that's lighting the widescreen is here, and the other one is right here. So we're looking at this from the side. Now, it's important to understand that your lighting instruments that are lighting the widescreen must be behind you, because if they're not, you're going to get spill from that light on yourself, and that's going to cause a problem. Number one, you're going to be overexposed, and number two, it's going to put you in silhouette when you're looking at the camera out here. And that's really not very helpful. Unless, of course, you're in the witness protection program and you're talking to a reporter. Hey, that guy, that corpse they found in my yard, he just fell off the roof. From 3 towns away? Well, I used to have a bigger house. So, now that our distance from the lighting instrument to the widescreen is set, let's look at these lighting instruments for a second. Now, this is a softbox that we're using here in the studio. And a softbox covers one half of the screen, while on the other side we have another softbox that covers the other half of the screen. But they're never going to cover the entire screen from top to bottom. So if you're standing up, you may want to raise this light a little bit on the stand to get uniform coverage in the area where you're standing. And then if you're sitting down, likewise, you want to just lower the whole thing on the stand a little bit. Now, I use this Dayflow Effects fluorescent lighting kit here because, for one thing, it's a lot cooler, cooler to the touch than incandescent lights or halogen lights. And these lamps are also daylight balanced, which is said to be better for green screen. And since white screen and green screen are kissing cousins, it seems to work out pretty well. You can actually even make a key out of that if you had to, and put something else in behind you, although that's not really the point of white screen. So that's pretty much how this lighting works. Now, the other option is that you can create a pole, just hang a pole from floor to ceiling and populate that pole with about half a dozen, maybe 8 of these particular lights. And these are just $10 incandescent lights that you can get at any hardware store. Now, it may or may not be less expensive to do it this way. Certainly if you're handy and you don't mind the extra work and you don't mind the fact that that it's not portable, that you can't take it anywhere, then it may be a good option for you. Last but not least, when you're setting up your lights, don't forget to set up the light that separates you from the background, and that's the top light right here. Now, this light is attached to a C-stand, a pretty sturdy C-stand right here, and you don't necessarily have to have a light like this, and you should only have a light like this if you have at least an 8-foot ceiling and you're under 6 feet high, because you've got to have a little bit of room between you and the light. So, if you don't want to have a great big light like this and a great big C-stand like this, then again, you can use one of these $10 hardware store lights and just attach this to a lighting stand, maybe along with some duct tape, and put it behind you just out of sight of the camera. So, the next distance that we have to set is the distance from you, the subject, to the white screen. This is really critical. The important thing here is not to get lit by the same light that's lighting the white screen, which is over here. We saw in the previous shot that if there was light, spilling on you, that was not a good thing. But the way to kind of mess that up and get that light spilling on you again is to set yourself too close to the white screen, and then you're still going to get overexposed by this light that's lighting the white screen, and we don't want that to happen. So the way to make sure that you're not lit by that light is to make sure that you place yourself so that you simply can't see the lamp, and then you'll be fine. Now, the last distance that we set is the distance from you, the subject, to the camera out there, and that's the easiest one of all to check. So, just set it up so that the whole white screen fills the entire frame, and that way you can just move the lights around a bit until everything looks right. So what we want to do now is completely overexpose our background. Now, the tricky thing here is that if you have a camera that has nothing but auto controls, or a camera that has manual controls and you're just using all auto, you can't do this, because what the camera will do is take the brightest part of the shot and try to make it look normal. And that's the last thing that we want to do. Here, let me show you what I mean. Ugh. And as I said, this can happen with a camera that has manual controls, but they're not even used. So this is part of the price of admission to shooting good widescreen, and that's having a camera with manual controls that you actually use. But how do you use those manual controls? Well, let's look through the viewfinder and see what it's asking us to do. So now the lights are set, the white screen is set up, and we're properly composed, and the light is even properly on the white screen. So what's the problem? Well, obviously the problem is that now we're too dark. Well, we can fix that, and this is where the real trick comes in. We fix this by letting more light into the camera. And when we do that, our background goes super white, and that's what gives us that cool infinity look. Well, I hope you enjoy your new white screen setup. It's really pretty easy when you've got a few of the tricks under your belt and you've got a few of the right materials. And for more video tutorials like this one, just check out our YouTube channel or our blog. Well, that's it for me for now. I'm Steve Washer with BrainyVideo.com. Happy shooting.